What is your take on tipping culture?
Oh, I tip way too much. I tip at least 50%.
Stop the cap.
If it was better, I'll tip my actual tab.
Stop the cap right now. Stop the cap.
50%?
50%?
Minimum, yeah.
Oh, don't you think that's a little excessive?
No. Do you know all the shit that they have to deal with?
Well, I'm not just saying like bartenders or waiters and stuff like that. I'm just saying just tipping in general.
When it comes to service industry, I'll always tip a minimum of 50%. When it comes to like my nails, my hair, anything else, a minimum of 20%.
The other day I went to, I think it was like McDonald's. They took my order,
Okay, no.
and then they asked for a tip. I was like, all you did was click some buttons, and
No, that's completely different. I get what you're saying on that. If it's something where you're literally like like at a parking garage and then they like ask you for a tip, that's something different. Service industry though, I'll always tip.
What's your take on tipping culture?
I will give the whole tip.
What do you think is important in tipping culture? Like, do you think it's overrated, or do you think we tip too much, or do you think people ask too much?
I think they ask the perfect amount. Like, I love to tip.
I think people need to earn it, to be honest. But I also think like people who do like work for it deserve it. You know what I mean? Like 20%, of course. You know, all bartenders.
What do you mean by earn it?
Like make you feel like welcomed at the place that you're at. Make you feel like it's a good time. You know what I mean? Really like invite you into the place. Serve you. You know, like I don't want to just tip for no reason type shit.
I like to tip, but I'm also a bartender, so I know how important it is, so I always tip.
What's your biggest pet peeve about tips?
When people don't, or like when people leave change,
Yeah.
that shit pisses me off.
Okay, now tipping culture is like Starbucks be like turning the pad when they say no like tip and they look away, but I don't know, like everyone does that. Everyone has like the pad when they're like no tip. But honestly, I always click no tip. Unless it's like a restaurant, then I go based on like service.
Okay, so if you go to a restaurant where you get a service actually.
I always tip. I always tip.
But if you go to a Starbucks or like quick service, you wouldn't.
No. Literally, it depends on the mood you're in, but also it depends on the service you get. But also, yeah, I think it depends on the service you get, because sometimes if someone is being like rude, I'm like, I don't know about that.
What?
What is your take on tipping culture?
Tip, bitch. Tip. I'm a server. Tip. Unless your server is shitty as fuck, tip. But I'm not a shitty server, so tip. I'm a good server, tip. No matter where you're at or whatever the fuck, tip. I swear to God, your tip will take care of your server. I swear to God.
I'm gonna say it's to tip your server because they make like what, $12 an hour?
I make $8 an hour, bitch. Tip.
You're broke. You're fucking poor.
Yeah, tip your fucking server. If you don't tip your server, you're.
I swear to God, you'll get into high wire. I swear. No, high wire.
Okay. Next question.
Just kidding.
Okay, tip. We're big on tipping.
So tipping.
Yeah.
Because there's some countries like Germany, Japan, or overseas, they don't really tip because it's considered rude there. That's why.
Absolutely not. Absolutely not.
Ridiculous. You should tip your servers.
Even if you make $100 an hour, tip your fucking server. Like,
Tip your servers because I will help you get into the fucking club. I swear to God.
Okay.
just tip.
Just tip.
Just tip. Bottom line tip.
Yeah.
You won't have the tip.
Even if
later
it's
on.
$2, just tip your server. $2 goes a long way. Don't play.
Yeah. What she said, tip dollars goes a long way. I will help you get into the club for nothing. Help.
All right, next question.
Tipping?
Yeah.
I feel like tipping, my dad always tips 20% everywhere we go. Better if it's like better service. But I feel like you should always tip wherever you go. Servers are working. Like, what the fuck? Yeah. Sorry, I don't know if I can cuss. Bad.
Any more reason behind it other than the 20%?
No, I just feel like servers are working. You have to tip them. Like, that's just, I feel like that's just common decency. Like, it's your morals. Like, I don't know. It just is normal to me.
Okay, that's all right.
Tip your servers, like tip your servers, period. You know, they do a lot of more work than like everyone thinks. Like they just say like, oh, they're just bringing my more that goes into it, and I feel like you really don't understand until you've been a server.
How intelligent do you have to be to take a food order?
But to tip your servers at least 15 minimum. Like it's different with us if the service was dead at like super shitty, but like other than that, tip your servers. It doesn't matter.
And if they don't tip, what would you guys do?
That's just shitty. That's weird. I don't know. That's weird. If my parents didn't tip somewhere, I'd look at them crazy. I'd tip for them. Like, I don't know. I feel like you have to tip.
Okay. Same thing with you. If you don't tip, you would want them to tip?
No, I'd be sad. I'm a server myself. I'd be sad as fuck. Like, people be running up a $200 bill and then leave you like $3. They round it up or something. Like, that's not a tip. I don't care. Like, tip your servers. It's a lot that goes into it, especially if, like, I don't want to say needy, but if you're like a needy person, like you need like 4 refills within 20 minutes. You need like shit like that. Like, I've dealt with it, and it's so and not annoying, but like it's your job, yeah, but it's annoying to do and then not get any like tip appreciation for it, you know?
You guys do a lot just to get nothing, basically.
Yeah, because like we're not just running and getting your food. We're like running, checking like 3 other tables. It's way more than just like getting your food out, you know? Yeah, but tip your servers, seriously.
What is your take on tipping?
I hate it, straight up. That's all I gotta say, honestly.
You hate tipping?
I do, honestly.
Why?
I don't know, honestly. I feel like the establishment should pay their workers by the hour, you know what I mean? Like, it shouldn't be up to us to like compensate them for their time, you know what I mean?
You know what I mean? It's hard, son. Word, you know what I mean? Word, you know what I mean? Especially when them books be, you know what I mean? You know, real thick and heavy, like, you know what I mean? Word, you know what I mean?
I don't know if that makes sense, but that's just how I feel about it.
Sometimes it's too much in your face, you know, but like, you know, you should have more of a choice in a way, you know? Sometimes it feels like it's not a choice, it's like you have to tip, you're like, whoa, you know?
Yeah, sometimes you feel obligated, but I think...
Like Starbucks is now like, you gotta tip at Starbucks now? Like, what is that? You know what I mean?
Starbucks is too wild on us.
I understand like restaurants, you know what I mean? Like the waiter, you know what I mean? Like, but like establishments like this should pay the workers like by the hour, you know what I mean? Like 20, 15, whatever it is, you know what I
One coffee takes like 5 minutes and it's not even a service, I would say.
Exactly. That's what I'm saying.
They have to do it.
Yeah, right.
It don't feel fair though.
Yeah.
I believe in tipping culture. I think that if you're gonna go somewhere where someone's obviously working their ass off and you don't tip, I think that's fucked up.
Gotcha.
I think you should definitely tip. You're going out, obviously spending money, you should be able to tip as well.
Broke boy, just say so.
In order to receive a good tip from you, what would somebody have to do?
Be courteous, you know, obviously being aware of like, you know, just being friendly. If someone's being rude, obviously, but I still think you should tip regardless. They're working, you know what I mean?
Absolutely, I feel that.
My take on tipping culture would be that like the people, because I've worked in service industry before, so like I understand how important tipping is, but at the same time, like if I have to stand and walk up to a counter to order my food, then I feel I shouldn't have to tip because there was not really, but like if I do tip, it should go to the cooks. Because like the cooks are the most underrated people of a restaurant because they make it all happen, you know what I mean? I used to be a cook myself.
What's that experience been like for you cooking back in the kitchen?
Honestly, it was a good learning experience. It taught me a lot of valuable things, but it's a not a very good career. Unless you plan on like owning your own restaurant or being like a executive chef somewhere, like, you know what I mean? Other than that, it's not really fruitful.
I'm sure it builds character though, in a way.
For sure, yeah. It taught me a lot of things.
Absolutely.
On what?
Tipping?
Tipping? Oh, well, no, yeah, always tip.
You can tip. I guarantee tipping because they always love it. Even if it's $1, like anything. Appreciate it.
It's off a tip, so like if you don't tip, you're an asshole. For real. If you don't tip, you're a dick.
You hear that, John?
If I don't tip my DoorDash, I tip them in cash.
You're good.
Oh yeah, people live off of tips most of the time, that's why.
Yes. It doesn't hurt $5, $2, right?
$2 even, bro. Give them a fucking dollar.
Yeah.
Don't be stingy. Were you raised in a barn?
Do you fuck with the war?
Stupid tip.